Hello, and welcome back to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back with yet another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing and discussing the book Real by Kennedy Ryan. Real, Kennedy Ryan. Let me get my handy dandy notes. Before I get started, I would just like to say that one of my go-to genres, at one point it was always like romance type books. Not like the books, and I am not saying anything's wrong with this, but not like the books where, on the covers you see like these women with these dresses on with all their cleavage spilling out, and the man has them, back in a deep back bend, and he's like kissing her and he's shirtless. Not that kind of stuff. Not that. I've always loved realistic fiction, first of all. And then like stories, I guess, about relationships. Those are kind of the stories that I write. And back in the day, I read more books that were like, they would be considered romance, but they still had there was like a plot or a story, or it just wasn't like cheesy, or it wasn't just for the steamy factor. It was really about these two characters trying to connect or trying to communicate. So there was something more there. So it was like mostly contemporary fiction type romance books. But it's been a while since I've actually indulged in those type of books. But I felt like to some degree that Real was one of those books that I remember reading and really enjoying and kind of getting lost in. The story itself, as you can probably guess from the title, Real, Reel, which alludes to movie, like a movie reel. And then the guy sitting in the chair, like it's a director's chair, with the woman on his lap. The movie is about a film director and an up and coming ingenue who I guess, he doesn't discover her so much as he sees her in a Broadway performance and decides that this movie that he's making, she would be like the perfect, person to be cast as the lead. And it's just, there's all this controversy because she had been an understudy and had just gotten her big break or her big opportunity when the main person in the Broadway play went off, I think, on a vacation. So she got to step into her shoes, and this director happened to be there the night that she made her Broadway debut. And he was enchanted in more ways than one with her performance, with her. And yeah, his name was Cannon Holt, and it's so crazy that his mom was like a photographer, and I don't know if she was famous or infamous or not, but his name came because, from the Canon, the camera. But anyway, he's primarily been known for a documentary that he produced about his mom, but he has this big biopic, historical fiction, like it's Harlem Renaissance, musical numbers, dance numbers. It's just going to be this big thing, this huge thing that he's gotten studio funding for. So like I said, to cast an unknown person in the lead role has a lot of people kind of raising their eyebrows. But the main character, the female in the book and in the movie, is Nevaeh. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. Neva? Maybe it's just Neva. I'm like trying to put a little extra something on it. It's probably just Neva, Neevah. So she's the main female character in the book, and it was very well written. And I know it probably sounds like I said that about a lot of books, but I wonder, let me take a sidebar here, because I think about that. Like, I used to watch diners, drive-ins, and dives all the time. And I used to wonder to myself, if Guy Fieri ever went to a place that was recommended to him and the food was trash, I mean, like, did it make the cut? Like, would he even waste his time putting it on his show to like trash the restaurant or the whatever and say, oh no, I went here and it was horrible? Or was he only airing shows where he enjoyed the food or the food was decent or whatever? And that's kind of how I feel about books. You know, there's some books that, you know, if you go back through the videos that I've recorded, maybe one or two, I may have talked about, oh, I really didn't care for it, but it was always because of maybe a plot mechanism or how it ended or something like that. The majority of the books that I've read and done videos on have been books that are well written, because I feel like, why waste my time? First of all, if the book is really, really horrible, I'm probably not going to even waste my time finishing it, number one. But number two, I'm definitely not going to take time out of my day to record a YouTube video about a book that's bad. So, you know, like bad from the sense that it was just, you know, full of grammatical errors and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so I may say that a lot, that books are well written, because those are the only kind of books I'm really going to talk about on my channel. Anywho, the book was well written. In this book, there wasn't a death, but spoiler, one of the main characters has an illness that got really serious, and I don't know, I guess because I'm not like the type of writer that, you know, and I've heard this quote about kill your darlings, like they said writers should, you know, make people fall in love with these characters and kill them off. I do not agree, do not recommend. When one of the characters was going through this whole health thing, I was like kind of freaking out, because I'm like, oh my God. It took to me a story that was kind of lighthearted and fun and kind of sexy, and it got serious real quick, you know, and I guess maybe that was the author's point, to show that, you know, to use some Hollywood terminology, all that glitters ain't gold, you know, that when you're confessing your love or you're trying to get to know someone or you're falling in love, that sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. And, you know, that's when you really see, I suppose, how strong a connection someone has, or how real it is if they can, you know, stay there and be there for you during your darkest times. Do y'all hear these crickets or these cicadas or whatever this is? They are totally harshing my vibe here. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so that to me, it was kind of like, oh, why does she have to be sick? You know, but it's real life. And like I said, I'm a reader of realistic fiction, and that happens in real life all the time. And I think that the way that the author handled the situation in the book is like, I just wonder if this was something she went through, or if it's something someone close to her went through, because it was so much intricate detail around that illness, and it really made you feel for the character. And like I said, I was like, oh my God, no, why is this happening, you know, or whatever. So that was the only part of the book I was kind of like, oh, you know, I didn't want to deal with it. You know, imagine the character, and then even people in real life that have to deal with it. But anyway, it was just, that part of it was heartbreaking. But overall, the chemistry between Neva and Cannon it was like just off the charts. A lot of steamy scenes. You know, and then Neva had some issues with her sister that happened like when they were teenagers, and I got it, but I just felt like it kind of went, like, her grudge that she held against her sister just went on too long. But hey, I'm sure that happens in real life. There are probably people who haven't spoken to their relatives for lesser transgressions. So again, that's where that realistic fiction piece comes in. Yeah, and it was really cool too, because of the movie that was being made in the book. It was like the author was actually writing two stories, because there was a character, Desi, I think was her name. She was kind of this unsung, like, African American like performer from the Harlem Renaissance who nobody had really heard of. She went off to Paris and she got really famous, but then she came back to the States, and this was like, you know, height of like, or I was like right before maybe the civil rights movement or civil rights stuff started in the 60s. So she had been over in Paris, you know, getting all these accolades or whatever, but then her mom got sick and she came back home and, you know, started getting involved in the movement and all of that stuff. So she, like, her career kind of got stalled, but she was like one of the people that was a part of all of that and was around, but she sacrificed what she wanted to come back to try to make a difference in her community. And that's kind of what the movie they were making was about. And in the book, it was based on a real person. So that was really interesting. So it was kind of like you were reading two books almost whenever they would be on set and filming those particular scenes. So yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I think that books like this, they leave like an indelible impression on me, simply for the fact that, you know, I'm a writer of realistic fiction, and you kind of glean some not ideas, but some, well, maybe ideas on like how you can craft a story and bring in that realism while it also is entertaining and funny and steamy. But yeah, overall, it was really, really good. And I highly recommend it. I don't know. Now, I will tell you that there were some other characters in the book. And I know a lot of authors do this, but I have never like hidden my, and I won't even say dislike, but I'm just not a fan of sequels and series. I have way too many books I'm trying to get through to keep revisiting the same characters or the same worlds, you know, just ad nauseum. So I like to read a book and move on. And I like the fact that this was a standalone novel. However, there are characters in the book that, like, this is gonna be a part of I guess the Hollywood, and I think she's done other books, but this is a part of the Hollywood Renaissance novel collection. So like the guy that did the music for the movie and the writer of the movie, there was like this tension kind of between them in the book. They have their own book coming out. So, and I think there's another couple that was in the book, like that kind of came before this one. So yeah, so there'll be other books spawning from this one. I don't know that I'll be reading them unless it's way down the line, you know, but this one, I don't think it's going to have a continuation. I mean, you'll probably find out in those other books, like they may mention, you know, these two, but you know, it was enough for me, and I feel like I got closure, and I'm good. I'm ready to move on to the next book. The next book on my list, not necessarily the next book in this series. So anyway, check this out, Real by Kennedy Ryan. Really good, really good. If you have read Real, you know, I'd love to know your thoughts on it. What did you think about it, and you know, how'd you feel about when it was revealed about the character's, you know, illness or whatever. Make sure you like this video, and thanks again to everyone that has subscribed and, you know, commented and given me feedback. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. I will be back with something a little different next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye.